right. Let me get this link in the thing here. All right. Hello, French National. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. If you are, great to hear. Just gonna wait for some people to join. So, yeah. Not bad at all. Not too far from Halloween. Yeah, Halloween is coming up, so that's something to look forward to. Hello, Electro Vibes. How you doing, man? It's been a while. Hope you're doing good. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this now. So, hope you all are having a fantastic day. If you are, that is amazing to hear. So let's go and get into the coverage. So, as we all know, we do have a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, tropical storm Zeta. It is said to strengthen into a Cat 1 hurricane. So I'm going to go and get started with the wind speeds on the National Hurricane Center. So first things first, go ahead and get this open here. I'm good though. How about you guys? I am pretty good today. Thank you for asking. So, alright, this is what we have for the wind speeds. Tropical storm force wind probabilities. As we can see, we have some pretty high percentage of tropical storm force winds here. We have some 60s going into Mississippi, Alabama. And we even have some of those reds going into Louisiana there. So wind is something to really keep in mind. Hurricanes can produce, of course, they can produce a lot of wind. Also, they can produce a lot of rain and storm surge. And they can, believe it or not, they can produce some tornadoes as well. That's something else to keep in mind for hurricanes. So 50 knot wind probabilities. As we can see, we have some of those yellows going in inland there. 30% and up is the yellows. Hello, Origin, how you doing? I'm finally streaming, yes. Kinda took me a little bit to get set up, but anyway. Yeah, so this is what we have for the 50 knot wind speed probabilities. Can be very dangerous. I know some people don't think it is that dangerous, but a lot can happen. You just never know. So 58 mile an hour wind speed probabilities, that's what this is. And then hurricane force winds, this might change as we are still seeing this as a tropical storm brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. So that is just going to continue going this way, making a landfall, unfortunately, in Louisiana. Of course, they've had a lot this year, and this is not their first one. Obviously, we already know that they got Delta and Laura earlier this year. So, yeah. So at around here at the tip of the coast is where it is projected to make landfall. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and get the cone up, and this is what we're seeing with the hurricane cone according to the National Weather Service. As we can see, it's set to strengthen into a Cat 1 hurricane whenever it reaches the mid part of the Gulf Coast right there. And then by 1 p.m. Wednesday, it is nearing the coast of Louisiana. And then, fortunate thing about this landfall, it's going to be during the day. But the unfortunate thing is that it's making landfall. So, and then it's said to go back down to a tropical storm whenever it reaches over Alabama right there, 1 a.m. Thursday, and then strengthen down, or weaken down to a remnant with depression or tropical depression force winds whenever it reaches Virginia. And then take a look at that. Tropical storm as a remnant. So that's of course gonna re-strengthen whenever it gets back out to the Atlantic. So yeah, it's gonna weaken after. Yeah. So that's what we have for the cone here. And believe it or not, this is going to affect a lot of the U.S. mainland. Could even bring some hazardous conditions to Mid-Atlantic, Virginia, Maryland, Washington, and Delaware, and even New Jersey. So that'll be very interesting to see as we get closer to landfall. Let's see here. U.S. rainfall potential. As we can see, not so much of the rain as we have seen with some of the other hurricanes. But, of course, rain is still something to keep in mind because it can bring some hazardous conditions. Flash flooding, that's a thing. So, we do have an area of yellow, 4 inches of rain may fall in this area here. And then in the dark green, we are seeing 2 inches of rain will fall in this whole area. And then in the light green, 1 inch of rain. And also, you guys see this here. That actually is from Winter Storm Billy. So they're kind of going to combine into kind of this nor'easter. I'll have to go on to Tropical Tidbits to show you guys that, but they're kind of going to combine into a nor'easter type storm whenever it reaches to the northeast and mid-Atlantic region. So that'll be very interesting to see. So, let's go and take a look at storm surge. Peak surge. Storm surge is a very dangerous thing, something to keep in mind. So as we can see here, 5 to 8 foot storm surge on the Mississippi coast. Very interesting there because it is actually supposed to make landfall there and go straight up north like that. And then of course here we have 4 to 6 foot storm surge right there. Can be very dangerous. 2 to 4 foot storm surge right there, and 1 to 3 foot storm surge right there. So storm surge is pretty dangerous. 5 to 8 foot storm surge is pretty dangerous. 4 to 6 also pretty dangerous. Even 2 to 4 can be dangerous. So looks like exhausted Louisiana has to battle a hurricane again, unfortunately. That's what I was just saying at the beginning of the stream, because they have been getting it after and after this year. So it's quite unfortunate to see that for Louisiana. They have been going through quite a lot. And also, they've kind of seen the remnants of Beta, so that's another one. So also Cristobal, that's another one that they got back in June. So a lot has unfortunately been going on in Louisiana for the tropics. I think this is the third time this year. Well, the fourth, because they did get Cristobal earlier this year, back in June. So, yeah, they have been getting it quite a lot. So, flash flooding potential. We're going to go ahead and take a look at flash flooding potential. And as we can see here, we have a big area of slight risk right here, going from the southeast all the way into the mid-Atlantic and even into the Ohio Valley. So a lot of flash flooding could occur. Slight risk could still mean that there could be quite a bit of flash flooding. Even a marginal could indicate that as well. So I would be cautious for any hazardous conditions within the next few days for anyone who's in the path of the storm. So, you know, if Jim Cantori is somewhere, that place is going to get a landfall Category 6 hurricane with 175 plus mile an hour winds. That's okay. I mean, he deals with big weather events, so I don't see why. Anyway, little humor there. Let's go and get to tropical tidbits, GFS model, radar. And as we can see here, of course, this is Hurricane Zeta down in the Gulf of Mexico, brewing down there, with a central pressure of 985 millibars. So, of course, that'll move through and that'll start to strengthen, 972 millibars. And then it'll make landfall at around, it looks like midnight according to the GFS model, 12 a.m. or just before that, unfortunately. So it could mean that these guys could be seeing a night landfall. So, and that's what we saw with Hurricane Laura earlier this year, back in August. So, and when it's night, of course, we can't see anything. So, at night, people should be very cautious. I mean, you should be very cautious either way, if it's day or night. So, especially for those who are seeing a hurricane at night. I'm surprised when Paulette was still around, it reformed near Europe. Yeah, it did. As a ghost tropical storm, as I should say. But anyway, yeah. So, as we can see here, of course, this here is Zeta, and it looks like it could bring some pretty heavy rainfall to the mid-Atlantic. So, of course, we have quite a bit of viewers who watch my channel who live in the mid-Atlantic. So, prayers to anyone who's in the path of this hurricane, because it could be quite dangerous. Even though it's a Cat 1, it doesn't mean that it could be very dangerous. So nighttime landfalls are tricky and dangerous. That is very true. But anyways, and then I wanted to mention about Winter Storm Billy, kind of combining with the storm. Of course, right here is Winter Storm Billy. And as we can see, right there, and there's Zeta. And then they kind of merge into this nor'easter looking thing. So pretty interesting to see that. And also, believe it or not, there's snow right there. So that's not very common to see from a hurricane. But anyways, this year has been crazy, so pretty normal for this kind of year. But anyway, so, and then right there it looks to kind of become this big huge squall line, but that is out in the Atlantic. So and then yeah, look at that, a bunch of snow for New York, Pennsylvania, and the Northeast, New England area. So yeah, that'll be very interesting. So just want to take a look at windy now. Always use this, by the way, for looking at wind and that stuff from storms like these. So here's the total wind accumulation. That is within the next 10 days. That is not what I wanted. So of course, here's where it is right now. We can see the track of it just going into the mid-Atlantic, making landfall in Louisiana, and second landfall in Mississippi, actually. So that is pretty interesting to see. So it looks like that there could be some pretty hefty conditions within here. 88 mile an hour wind accumulation, according to this model. So pretty windy conditions all in the southeast and even into the mid-Atlantic, southern mid-Atlantic, Virginia, and parts of Maryland and Delaware. So just want to take a look at the rain accumulation. So down near New Orleans, we are seeing 4 inches of rain, according to this model. And the thing is with New Orleans is that they can get flash flooding pretty easy, and that is because they are below sea level. Actually, that is a fact. So you're seeing areas of 5 inches of rain from the storm in Mississippi. So this will bring a lot of rain to a lot of places around the whole East Coast. So something to really keep in mind is flooding, like I said before. So what else do I show? All right. I'm actually wanting to take a look at some of these spaghetti models here. So haven't done this in past streams before, so I'm gonna do it this stream because why not? So here's some of the spaghetti models. Most of them are saying that they are going to be making a Louisiana landfall right there and also making another landfall in Mississippi. Some of them are kind of keeping them inland right there. And we also have a couple going that way, but that most likely will not happen. So I would not really worry about these two, because they will not happen, guarantee. So, and of course they start to kind of spread out as they keep going because of accuracy. We are still a little far out to know if this is going to be the exact path, so that is why they are still pretty spread out at this point. So looks like a lot of course I'm saying this again, the US mainland could be seeing a lot of impacts from the storm. So a lot of people could be affected from this. So that is something to keep in mind. So that is it for the spaghetti models anyway. I'm also wanting to take a look at some of the alerts that they have here, which is what I usually do in my hurricane streams, but I did not do it in this one because I did forget. So back to the cone path here, we are seeing hurricane warnings issued for the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi. Just next to that, on to the Alabama and Florida coast, we are seeing tropical storm warnings, and then just to the west of that, tropical storm watches have been issued, and those could be upgraded as the storm does near the coast. So those are for the warnings. And all right, actually I'm wanting to go ahead and take a look at the satellite imagery as well. So this is what we're actually right now seeing for the satellite imagery for Hurricane Zeta. So we are seeing that it is a relatively well, it is a decent sized storm. We are seeing most of the activity is right here. So how's that eye looking? It looks to be sustaining right there, but also looks like that the storm kind of did grow right here within the past couple of hours. So it is starting to grow, and we are starting to see that wraparound right there. So that means that it's going to start going into its intensification stage. And I mean, once this is fully wrapped around, it'll start intensifying, and then we'll potentially see a Cat 1 hurricane at the time whenever it gets to the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. So anyways, here does look like we do have a decent looking storm here. Center of circulation is right there. Here we did not have that full wraparound, so it could not really intensify after it did make landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula. So of course, let's go ahead and take a look at maybe 12 hours ago. See if that's when it made landfall. Yeah, right here it did look to be a little bit better. And then yeah, after it kind of went off, it started to kind of break up because it did make landfall, and it does look to be like it is encountering some wind shear. And then right here is when it starts to really get that look again of a decent storm. So Hard freeze warning, southeastern Arizona. I did see about that actually, which is very interesting to see. I mean, believe it or not, it can freeze in Arizona because they are in a pretty high elevation, especially southeastern Arizona. Anyways, infra. That's what we're seeing for the infra. Of course, here it does look to be growing. Some of its cloud tops look to be growing as the storm does get closer to the U.S. mainland. So, this is what we have for the infra. Not too bad of a storm. But it is going to start developing soon as it does start to kind of grow. So this is what we are seeing at the moment for Hurricane Zeta. So yeah. Okay, and yeah, also I'd like to actually pull up pivotal weather for a second just to show you the severe weather risks for tomorrow. So right here we're seeing a slight risk for the Gulf Coast. Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida are seeing a slight risk there, and just around that in the dark green is a marginal. Let's go ahead and see what that is for. It is only for tornadoes. So we do have a 5% tornado chance in the brown there. That's where the slight is. And then in the green, 2%. That's where the 2% tornado chance is. So severe weather risk for that day, and then just the day after that, we're seeing a marginal in the southern mid-Atlantic and northern southeast there, and then also this here, which is probably from all of the supercells from Hurricane Zeta whenever it does reach up to the mid-Atlantic. So how far off the coast is Zeta? I'll have to check that. Flood watch, that does include Wichita, Kansas. Flash flood watch. And that flood watch might be for Winter Storm Billy. So all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and see how far off the coast. And believe it or not, this radar station is still broken. This is the Lake Charles one, and this one is still messed up after it was severely damaged after Hurricane Laura's landfall. Anyway, so the storm is around here. So from landfall, or from the coast anyway, let's go ahead and say it is around 400 miles off the coast in the Gulf of Mexico. So it is kind of far from the coast, but it may reach up to Louisiana in no time. Let's go ahead and check how fast that thing is actually. And I'm going to go ahead and check how the stats are doing at the moment. So as of 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time, that was the last update. Advisory number 13, we are seeing maximum sustained winds of 65 miles an hour, minimum central pressure 984 millibars, and it is moving northwest at 14 miles an hour. So that is moving at a pretty good speed. So that may reach the coast at around tomorrow night. So about a day from now, we could be seeing a landfall, or we could be seeing this thing nearing the coast at that time. So, but anyways, this is what we have for Hurricane Zeta, Tropical Storm Zeta at the moment. I may do a stream tomorrow at around the same time, just to give you guys updates, because it will be a hurricane at this time tomorrow. But anyways, yeah, that'll do me for the stream. Yeah, prayers to anyone in the path of the storm, because they have been getting hit by a lot of hurricanes this hurricane season in Louisiana. And believe it or not, this whole area here, southeast, has been getting affected by a lot of hurricanes this year as well. But anyways, yeah, prayers for sure. Yep. I'll be back tomorrow. That's what Electro Vibe said. Hoping I'll stream tomorrow by this time tomorrow. But anyways, yep. Thank you guys for watching today's stream, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you guys, and see you later.